United States Army for 24 years, working as a ground medic and later a flight medic on Blackhawks, before retiring in 2017 as a medical supervisor. During his military career, he was stationed at Camp Blanding, Florida, and Fort Riley, Kansas, and his overseas deployments included Camp Page in South Korea and Baghdad, Iraq. A highly decorated veteran, he earned numerous awards and commendations, including 3 Overseas Service Ribbons and 2 Operation Iraqi Freedom Campaign medals. His military service instilled in him the values of discipline, motivation, and leadership, and his greatest reward was the lifelong bonds and sense of family that he found with his fellow service members. Today, he continues his commitment to serving others as an engineer paramedic with Clay County Fire Rescue on Rescue 20. We thank you for your service to our country and your ongoing commitment to our community. Please lead us in the pledge, and then you can say a few words.
Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's an honor and privilege to be here. It's been a while, but I do miss the military, but the county's done me very well on Rescue 20, and honor and pleasure to be here. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Thank you. You may be seated. I'd like to call to order the July 14th, 2026 Clay County Board of County Commissioners meeting. All commissioners are present. Unfortunately, Dr. Burke could not be here with us this afternoon. Moving on to pet adoptions. Ms. Capoe.
Okay, our first cat today is Willie, a neutered male, domestic short-haired, 2 months old and weighs 2 pounds. Willie is a little orange ball of sunshine with a big personality. You can tell, right? This playful kitten loves chasing toys, exploring every corner, and curling up for cozy naps after a day of adventures. Sweet, curious, and full of purrs, Willie is ready to bring laughter, love, and plenty of kitten antics to his forever home. Could your family be the one he's been waiting for? Next, we have Richie, a neutered male. He's heartworm negative. He's a husky. He's a 1.5 years, and he weighs 63 pounds. Richie is a 1-year-old goofball who lives for compliments. They're definitely his love language. Smart, social, and full of personality, he's a playgroup favorite who loves making new dog friends. Richie enjoys stretching his legs with a few zoomies before settling in for fun, and his goofy, selective hearing only adds to his charm. If you're looking for an active, happy pup who will keep you smiling, Richie is your guy. Our next cat is Eva Diva, spayed female, domestic short hair, 3 months old and weighs 4 pounds. She didn't get the name Eva Diva for nothing. This 4-month-old calico kitten is equal parts adorable and diva. She knows she's cute, loves attention, and isn't afraid to let her personality shine. If you're looking for a sassy, playful little queen to rule your heart, Eva Diva is your girl. And lastly, we have Duncan, a mixed breed, is a 1-year-old and weighs 51 pounds. Meet Duncan, a handsome hound with a nose for adventure and a personality that's impossible not to love. This fun-loving pup is always ready to follow his nose, explore the great outdoors, and sniff out a treat from miles away. If you're looking for a loyal sidekick to join you on your next adventure, Duncan is waiting to lead the way. Ready to meet your new best friend? Our adoptable animals are waiting to add some extra love and fun to your life. From wagging tails to purring kitties, we've got the perfect companion just for you. Want to see who's available? You can head over to our website and meet our adorable crew looking for their forever homes. And if you have questions, you can drop us a line at clayadoptions@claycountygov.com and let's chat. Don't wait. Your new best friend is just a click away. In pictured, you'll see kittens like Belle. They are always in need of foster parents. We are always in need of foster homes where they can grow, receive socialization, and get the care they need until they are ready for adoption. Could you provide a loving temporary home for one of our foster animals? If so, please contact us at clayfosters@claycountygov.com. And lastly, if you're interested in helping our furry friends, but you can't bring one home, please take a look at our Amazon wish list. We are always in need of items for shelter animals. Just go to Amazon.com. And that completes our pet adoptions.
Thank you, Teresa. If my commissioners can join me down front, we have one proclamation for Parks and Recreation Month today. All right, Parks and Recreation Month celebrates the vital role of parks, programs, and recreation professionals play in building healthier, stronger, and more connected communities. We're pleased today to recognize all of our parks and recreation professionals who make all of this possible for us here in Clay County. Our Parks and Recreation Director, Justin Pierce, is here with us with some of his awesome, hardworking staff members. And to read the proclamation today is Commissioner Condon, followed by some remarks.
All right. Whereas Clay County's parks and recreation areas preserve the county's cultural, historical, and ecological resources while providing families with opportunities to connect with nature and enjoy a high quality of life. And whereas access to parks and recreation promotes physical health through active lifestyles and supports mental well being by reducing stress, enhancing cognitive health, strengthening relationships, and providing opportunities for children and adults to experience and enjoy the outdoors. And whereas parks and recreation programs and educational activities, including community events, youth sports, and environmental education, are essential to the healthy development of children. And whereas designated parks and recreation areas also promote economic prosperity through increased property values, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And whereas in July 2026, Parks and Recreation Month celebrates the power of and highlights where parks and recreation unite people and strengthen communities and advance community well being through connection, play, nature, and belonging in inclusive public spaces that build resilience and foster community pride. And whereas parks and recreation professionals are vital to thriving communities, providing and maintaining accessible, welcoming, and sustainable parks, facilities, and programs that enrich the quality of life for all residents. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of Clay County, Florida, does hereby proclaim July 2026 as Parks and Recreation Month in Clay County, and in doing so, we honor the dedicated Clay County Parks and Recreation employees and support staff whose daily efforts to maintain and enhance the county's parks and recreation facilities create lasting opportunities for residents and visitors to connect, play, and build a stronger community. Duly adopted by the Board of County Commissioners, Clay County, Florida, this 14th day of July 2026. Do we have a motion? All in favor? Aye. Of course, it's unanimous.
Thank you. First off, I want to say thank you, Commissioners, for supporting us. Without you, we would not be able to do what we do for the community. To our County Manager, Howard Ronemaker, thank you as well, and all the support staff that we rely on a day-to-day basis. Most of all, I want to thank my wonderful staff. That's to my left. I'll introduce each and every one of them and just go from there. First, we have Aaron. He is our Outdoor Adventure Park Coordinator, and Matt, who is our Gun Range Manager. They oversee that complex and do a great job there. We also have Liza and Liz, who is our Park Ranger and Park Naturalist, who oversees Camp Chewinwaw Park, and they are the headship of our stewardship of our natural resources of Clay County, Camp Chewinwaw, Moccasin Slough, and other sites. Past that, we have Ms. Connor, who is our Recreation Coordinator. She oversees all of our programs and events for the county and leads a wonderful recreation team, so thank you for what you do. And to our far left, we have Emily, who's our Fairgrounds Coordinator. Unfortunately, she'll be leaving us tomorrow to take another position, but what she's done at the fairgrounds is nothing short of fantastic, so thank you for what you've done. I will also be remiss if I do not thank Mr. Eric Jones, who's our grounds maintenance manager. Without him, our parks would not shine the way they do. So thank you, sir, for what you do in support of our efforts. So other than that, thank you guys. Everything was said in that proclamation. So thank you for your support of Parks and Rec, and get out and enjoy our parks. July is Parks and Rec month, and this Saturday I have to do a promo. We have Last Splash, which is a nice event that we're doing at Ronnie Van Zant from 11 to 2 o'clock. It's a free event for families and kids to enjoy, so please come out. We also have a flag football tournament at the Regional Sports Complex, and the gun range is always open, as well as our trails and natural resources at Camp Chewinwa. So please, if you have not, check our website, letsplayclay.com, or our social media, Facebook or Instagram pages, to keep in tune with the things that we have going on. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Yep. Thank you. All right, moving on in our agenda, recognition of our constitutional officers. See, our sheriff's office folks. Anything from the sheriff's office? No, thank you. Good, awesome. And then we got Mr. Dingle from the clerk's office. Nothing over there. All right. Thank you guys for being here. Moving on to the approval of minutes. I'll entertain a motion.
Give you a motion to approve the minutes from Board of County Commissioners meeting on June 23rd, 2026.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to our first public comment portion of today's meeting. This portion of the agenda is designed to allow citizens an opportunity to bring matters to the attention of the board. At this time, the board's not going to engage in debate or answer questions, but you may email askclay@claycountygov.com and staff will address your questions, or you may email your district commissioner. Public comment cards are conveniently located at the back of the meeting room entrance and should be submitted to the clerk to the far left of the dais. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Before addressing the board, please state your name and address. Now I'd like to open the first public comment period at today's meeting. We have one card, Mr. Joe Tierney. My apologies if I mispronounced it.
You got it perfect.
Good.
Good evening. My name's Joe Tierney. I live at Haller Air Park. Last Thursday, one of our pilots had a hard landing, and the plane ended up landing upside down. We called 911, and the first responders showed up, and it was an awesome display of coordination. The fire and rescue crew from Station 24 did a fantastic job getting the pilot out of the airplane very quickly and then transported him to the hospital. The Clay County Sheriffs who responded, especially Deputy Elias and Deputies Starling, Gelsomino, and Lamb, took charge of a bunch of, you guys know, pilots standing around watching and kept us out of the way and controlled us completely. It was awesome. Even Commissioner Renninger, who I'm not sure how this happened, but he reached out to me and let me know that an air ambulance was ready to go if needed. It was not needed, so the network of responders who were available to assist was very impressive. From the 911 call till the pilot was on the way to the hospital was probably about 45 minutes total. And it's nice to know we have this kind of coverage here in Clay County. And I just wanted to thank everybody that was involved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. It's great. Any other public comments? All right. Moving on to the agenda, to our consent agenda, items 3 through 9 today. Do any commissioners, would they like to pull any items? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move approval.
Second motion.
Have a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda, items 3 through 9. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Carries unanimously. Moving on to item number 10, it's our discussion and updates, the progress report on the bonded transportation program and other capital projects by our capital projects team. Mr. Dindor.
Good evening, Board. Ed Dendor, Bond Transportation Program Administrator, here to update the progress the team has made over the last month. For project number 1, County Road 218 from Masters Pit to Pine Tree Lane, the county's team and Anderson Columbia continue with our bi-monthly status meeting. Anderson Columbia continued the installation of drainage structures, pipes, sub-base, base material, curbing, sidewalk, and median work along the north side of the project. The project's 74% paid out and 106% of the time used. An extension of time is anticipated due to weather delays as well as CCWA conflicts along the adjacent properties. For project number 2, County Road 209 from US 17 to Peters Creek, the county's team in Superior continued their bi-monthly status meeting. Superior completed the installation of concrete island for the west to northbound right turn lane just west of the railroad track crossings, and continued construction of the clay cutoff walls at Pond Site 2 while moving the clay material from Pond Site 2 to Pond Site 3 for the lining of Pond 3 with clay. As of June 23rd, all work within the FDOT right-of-way at US 17 and County Road 209 intersection has been completed. The signal and maintenance of that intersection has been turned over to the FDOT contractor. The project is on schedule with 83% paid out and 77% of the time used. For project 3B, which is Sand Ridge Road at County Road 209 with the swoosh through into the roundabout at County Road 209B, Kiewit achieved substantial completion on May 19th with 83% paid out, while the project's scheduled duration remains in dispute. The contractor and the county met on June 15th for the final inspection. The project was not accepted due to a few remaining minor repairs, such as placing some sod work and a couple of cracks in the sidewalk. For project number 5, the design team completed the pond liner analysis and provided comments back to the St. Johns Water Management District based on their request for additional information related to the permit modifications that was submitted. Responses were under review by the district. When they accept the responses and approve the permit, the team will update the permit modification number provided by the district with the mitigation bank in advance of submitting the permit modification to the Army Corps. And for project 6A, the first timeout letter discrepancies found by the team discussed at the last update are being coordinated with the Army Corps. The team started preparing a closeout documentation for this project. Once the permit is received, plans will be signed, sealed, and the closeout package will be delivered to the county. Projects 3A, 4, and 6B are all complete. In support of all this work, WGI continues only to work with project management and inspection of the services. As of July 7th, the program has expended $161 million. And on the county website, the bond transportation dashboard will be discontinued and replaced with that static bond transportation historical storyboard. That concludes the update for the bond transportation program. Do you have any questions?
Any questions for Ed?
Yeah,
Commissioner
I
Ranger?
have a question. It was on page 3, project 3B, we had cracks in the sidewalk. Do they compact underneath sidewalks?
They
I mean,
do.
a crack could be caused by a front-end loader driving over it or something like that, or it could be just unsettled, if we have cracks in brand-new sidewalks.
Yep.
today-
Yes, sir. And to the point of the cracks of the sidewalk, the item before that, the sod replacement was required. So the subcontractor that was actually installing the sod drives up on the sidewalk, corrects the sidewalk, so he places the sod. Now they've got to go back and get their sidewalk contractor to come back in and repair the sidewalk that got damaged.
Right.
So even though it was looking good before they had to come and repair the sod, they're still held to fix the sidewalk that got damaged.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Ed, a question I have is, when would you say is maybe a target date for the full completion of the BTP project? Like in terms of like, you won't give any, like it's done.
It's done. As even, and we talk about the work, if you would, in the field, and I'm sure that's what you're most interested in. Projects 1 and 2 that are still left yet to go, more toward this fall, if you would, those will be finished. And as those projects finish up, the last two pending would be the permits for project 5 and 6A. And then the last piece is what we call like a wrap-up report. There'll be a wrap-up report for each one of the projects. As an example, project 4 is complete, and it's roughly a 600-page report. And then as each one of the reports are completed, those will be an overall summary report for the overall program. And those will follow, but we have to get through the end of the construction and any pending issues that may be with each one of the individual projects.
Gotcha.
Following question, is there a warranty on this?
Yes,
these
sir.
projects?
Each project has a 2-year warranty.
2-year?
And it's established at the final completion of each one of the individual projects. So as each one of the projects finish, for example, 6B was finished well over a year ago. That project's warranty had already started. So, when's the overall program going to be finished? I would say the reporting and all by the end of, hopefully the end of this calendar year, maybe early part of next calendar year.
Awesome.
I have a question for Ed.
Yes, ma'am.
On Project 5, am I understand, like, based on your update, there are all of these hoops we're jumping through just to get the approval for the permit. So can you clarify for me, because I'm a little confused. It's my understanding that you actually have to get permission before you can complete the project, but you're giving us a timeline for the end of the year for completion. So talk to me about what that looks like.
For projects 5 and 6A, when we are completing with our portion of the projects, these are 2 of the projects. The intent was to get the projects designed and permitted and fully prepared for the next push, if you would, when Richard County Engineering looks at the future traffic forecast and when those projects would actually need to go into actually construction. But the entire project would be designed and shelf ready. So, for example, Project 5 on County Road 220 is the eastern extension of the work that's currently going on with the bridge expansion on 220, as well as the intersection at Henley. And then as I guess, if you would, as the county continues to grow and continues to grow west, that's when Richard would be working with FDOT and looking at that additional mile from Henley to Baxley, which would be that next section. But you'll have basically a shovel-ready project. And then 6A, which is the section of County Road 315 that connects with US 17 and then also connects with our Cathedral Oak Parkway, which now gives you a cross-county connection from 17 all the way out. That would be the next section again, which would be permitted, designed for 4-lane with a new roundabout at 315 and 315B with storm sewers, storm management system, storm water ponds, and sidewalks, bike lanes, and so on. And that again would be a shelf-ready project.
Right, so I guess the point of clarity, was there a scope change on these 2? Because I can't imagine that we're talking about these 2 projects were never slated to actually have construction be part of the project.
Yeah, during the program, again, backing up all the way to 5+ years ago when they were awarded the bond, it said here the roads that we're looking to perform work on. And as the work, each one of the roadways were envisioned on what type of work could we do with the money that was both consigned with the bonds as well as 10 other different funding sources. It was developed through the program on how much of each one of the roads would actually be designed and constructed and to what extent. Some of them are operational improvements like you've seen on County Road 209 or the actual full development of a road to support the existing and future traffic. And that was all in conjunction with the designers, the engineers, input from the county engineer on which projects and how to develop each one of the projects based on kind of a concept or an idea, hey, we want to make improvements to these roads in these areas.
So when you present this as a once this is presented completed, it'll be once the designs are complete, not necessarily construction is what you're getting at?
Correct, yes, ma'am, for those two, for 5 and 6.
Only for these two?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That's clear, thank you.
A follow-up question, with the 315 Project 6A, I guess this might be more of a Richard question. Richard, we've talked a lot about how DOT prefers projects that are obviously state roads. Because that roadway touches 17, does that put us in the mix? Does it help?
Yes, yes, it does. It's, one of the criteria to be on the top, to be considered in the TPO list, is that it does touch a state route. For a few years, when I first started, we had Feed Mill Road on there, an interior road, which is gonna be a very important connector between County Road 216 and Sandridge. DOT at TPO finally took me aside and said, we'll never fund that. That's yours. So when we market and present 218, that's why you'll see 218, any improvements on it, which we do have about 1.5 miles of extension on that. That's shovel ready to go to work as part of the BTP design portion. We always say it ties to 301. It's not, we're not gonna build a 301, but unless you have the US 301 on there, it doesn't get a lot of consideration. 220 will go from Henley to Baxley. On the presentation of TPO, it'll say it goes to County Road to Blanding Boulevard. So that
21, yeah.
the connection is complete. They want to see connectivity for their funds to be expended on a regional basis, not a micro-local basis.
Okay, good.
I think I have a follow-up for Ed.
Sure.
Was your answer to my question concerning scope a yes or a no?
You re-ask your question.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
When these plans were conceived, projects 5 and 6A, were they originally construction projects, or was there a change in scope that is now?
Yeah, no change of scope. The scope
Okay.
was developed as the plan was put together, the program was put together. Again, there was an intent to do work being designed, purchasing a property right away to be able to make the road expansion, if the road expansion or operational improvement was necessary, but the intent was to look at each one of those roads and identify what really needs to be done, and then from there, start developing the plans.
Okay.
Any other questions on BTP? All right, we're gonna transition to capital projects, the other hat.
Pretty good. I see what happens when we go really quick in the agenda. We're gonna hit questions before we get to that 5 o'clock time certain. Again, switching hats from the transportation side with an updated report on the capital projects from 6 directors: Teddy Myers, Tourist Director; Justin Pierce, Parks and Recreation Director; Eric Pope, Public Works Director; Gene Price, Facility Operations and Maintenance Division Director; and seated to my right, Richard Smith, Engineering Director, as well as myself, Capital Projects Director. The project data report was compiled by Veronica Dang, our Capital Projects Cost Control Specialist. In general terms, overall, the county capital projects list consists of 262 projects. The total budget portfolio in Workday is valued at $216,460,490, with a spend rate of $158,413,529, split across 25 different departments. To date, the fiscal year of the total budget, Capital Projects Department is managing 86 of those 157 projects across 13 different departments, or roughly $102,151,487 as depicted in the operational department table. And of that, 15 of those projects are completed this fiscal year. For the overall status of the public safety bond, so far to date, the county has spent $24.1 million of the $65 million in bond. For a quick rundown on the running down numerical order, we'll highlight some of the public safety projects or fire stations, if you would. Fire station number 1, construction is 66% complete and 39% is paid out. Forecast completion is fall of this year. Fire stations 13, 15, 16, and 21 are all at 90% design complete. Specifically for Fire Station 15, The developer started clearing and grubbing the site in preparation to deliver a pad-ready site for construction. Forecast completion for that Station 15 is the summer of '27. Fire Station 20 is operational and complete. Fire Station 22 construction is at 87% complete and 57% paid out, with a forecast completion later this summer. Fire Station 24 construction is well underway, with 27% complete and 11% paid out, with a forecast completion spring of '27. Scorpio, the contractor, completed the installation of silt fence, security fencing, and their field office construction trailer. The old apparatus bay was demolished, and the building foundation and stem walls were placed, along with the under slab utilities in preparation for slab placement. The fire training facility, the modified design is at 90% complete and 17% paid out. The forecast construction completion is summer of 2027. While the Sleepy Hollow radio antenna construction is 95% complete, and the demolition of the old tower was completed, and 70% of that is paid out, with a forecast completion later this year in the fall. Next up in vertical projects is the Economic Development Building. The project includes designing, permitting, and building the new two-story, 34,000 square foot building next door. The building is now finished, staffed, and fully operational. A ribbon cutting ceremony is planned for July 28th. The project was completed about 2 months later than planned, but finished $500,000 under budget. And a note of excellence for the team: last month this project was selected by the ABC, Florida First Coast Association of Builders and Contractors, for an award in excellence in construction from both the general and the specialty contractors. This award celebration is a collaboration and triumph for the entire project team, recognizing the outstanding contribution of both the contractor, the county as the owner, architect, and the engineer. The award will be conferred at a celebration on August 7th. Next up, Omega Park. This project will change the park's utility services from the existing failing on-site septic tanks and well water to using Clay County Utility Authority services for water and sewer utilities provided along County Road 218. The sewer portion of the project was completed in June. Decommissioning of the old septic tank system is underway, as well as the contractor continues to install the water lines and is preparing to transition to the CCUA water connections. And last, a note on the Oakleaf Library. The third public meeting for Oakleaf Library is scheduled for this Thursday, July 16th, from 6 to 7 in the evening at the Plantation Oaks Athletic Center, located at 845 Oakleaf Plantation Parkway in Orange Park. Now I'll turn the floor over to Richard Smith, our county engineer, for roadway and trail project updates.
Thank you, Ed. We'll start out with County Road 220, which the intersection at 220 and Henley is 98% complete. Getting a lot of punch list items from the residents with striping requests and signage alterations that we're looking into, and it works. It works very well, very efficient intersection now. The 4-laning of the road back toward the bridge approach is completed to Joe John's, and that should be open. Joe John's been reopened, and traffic's underway there. The bridge is still on schedule for an mid-October opening. It's 90+% complete with DOT punch list items remaining. They're very minor. There's one crack, Commissioner, that you just have to repair. It's part of building with concrete. Radar Road's going to be one thing that's going on Radar Road. We will be seeing a traffic shift real soon. The next couple of weeks, the roundabout that's there will not be a true rotary where you can go around it. For about 2 to 3 weeks, it's going to be single lane traffic as they complete the tie-in. That should not take very long. Should be done probably, I'd say, by the middle of August, maybe a 3 to 4 week project, but there will be restrictions. In other words, you can't make a U-turn there. You can't make a full 360. It will only be through traffic. The Long Bay Road at Old Jennings intersection went into operation on Thursday morning at 10 o'clock last week, and is working well. Hopefully the traffic out there we'll see a little bit more efficiency in folks. Also sent a picture, you saw the boardwalk. That was a boardwalk that had to be constructed to preserve some wetlands at the requirement of the St. Johns River Water Management District Wetlands Permit. We've been busy resurfacing. It's been 3 weeks since I've been here, and in that time, we resurfaced. They completed Doctors Lake Drive, County Road 209 Riverside, Heath Road, Bahama Bluff, Branscombe, Oak Grove Drive, and a portion of Dr. Ira Drive. The final thermoplastic striping will be put on there in the next few weeks. They've moved over to the Bear Run area off of Camp Francis. There's this neighborhood in there that they're working on, and then as we come to looking ahead, they'll remobilize and get over into Fox Meadow towards the early to mid-August timeframe. During that same time period, I'm gonna move around a little bit. Our asphalt paving system, which is the rural paving system. This isn't paving roads that look like the interstate. This is a rural road where you expect low traffic volumes, low traffic. They were able to complete since the last 3 weeks. Black Creek Drive, Becky Street, Saunders Drive, Waller Way, a portion of Shed Road, Brown Road, Holly Hill Road, Oakview Road, and Grove Road. Those last 3 roads you may have never heard of because you got to drive through 3 counties, I think, to get to them, but they are ours. They're down County Road, State Road 21, almost to the Putnam County line. It was a big lift for the Public Works crews to get out there and grade them, again, 17 times a year. They're off the list now. I rode them Sunday. They're fantastic. They really they turned out very well. And we also have a paving project in downtown Keystone, or not downtown, but just adjacent to the city limits near the high school that's underway. A lot of DOT or a lot of CCUA utilities in that area that we're having to deal with. Flipping over to the FDOT to US 17 and our Florida DOT roads, Black Creek to Oak Street, I've got it verbatim what's going on from the DOT upgrade. The contract's continuing to work on the removal of the old pedestrian poles and installation of the new ped poles. Those are there at the 209 intersection. Ed didn't say the rest of the story. The VTP is finished at 209 and 17. The construction is not finished. You've got about another 6 months of that. And as you can tell, it's coming together. We warned you there was a very different configuration there. You're starting to see the makings of the island that'll prevent traffic separation. It'll make it a safer north and south turn off of 209. You will not be able to cross over, taking one more conflict out of the way. Concrete work should resume at the intersection of Russell Road and 17 this week. This was now. And once completed, they will move back from there. If you've been in downtown Green Cove, they're not finished with that median work there. That concrete crew will complete at 17 and 209 and then shift downtown and complete what's going on around, I guess it'd be Center and Walnut Streets. So the Wells Road intersection is about 60% complete. They did get a time extension. They had some rain. Their completion date is November 16th. So that's meaning they did have some days added for weather. State Road 16 that's going well. They continue to work on it. I noticed that they did finish I don't know if it'll meet our county attorney's DOT specifications, but they did improve the right turn from 209 to State Road 16 west going to Camp Blanding. 218 at 16. They did shift the intersection slightly to allow for larger trailers and larger vehicles to get through there without running off the pavement. It's an improvement. It may not be a solution, but it is an improvement. That work is scheduled to be complete coming up by the end of the year, late December. They are working in Green Cove. They did mill and resurface one lane from the railroad tracks to 17 this week. And I think that covers it. Looking ahead, again, we will be in the Box Meadow neighborhood beginning in the next 2 weeks. And we've got some pretty efficient work going on with that group. And I think we got a couple of proposals in the purchasing department to finish out this year and maybe get a couple more streets in that we had for next year. So.
Commissioner Reninger.
Yeah, Richard, Radar Road, Grace Anglican, I mean, they can only enter right now from 17, and eventually they won't, when they move construction toward the church more. When do you think that move's gonna occur?
Right now, there's a lot of underground work, a lot of under drain work and storm drainage going on in the road. Doesn't even look like a road out there now. I showed you a picture of how the folks that are using the park have to traverse from the library over. So it's kind of a little bit of a demolition course there. The work on the roundabout is the first step in that. That should be completed in August. My best guess would be by fall, October.
Fall?
It could be that quick. Once they get that underground in place, Commissioner, they're gonna wanna get that paved and stabilized.
Right.
And then close off at the west end of the athletic field, the east end of the church parking lot, and have the apartment and church enter. We'll have to make sure there's access to the apartments as well.
Right,
Those will be from Town Center Boulevard. I'll get a real date on that and email it to you.
okay. Dr. Lake Drive, nothing, well, many compliments, 2 complaints. One was equipment, I think it was the first day, equipment parking, we resolved that. The other complaint was, why did we do it when CSX was doing their work on the rail lines? And
We did it, the best I can tell you is CSX doesn't really share a lot of information on where they're going next. And our bond and transportation program learned when they, for instance, flaggers, which seems a pretty simple operation on flagging a railroad crew. There's 6 in the entire state of Florida. We have a population of 24 million people. 6 of them can flag a train. So and that's the entire state. So you are at their beck and call. We offered to postpone Doctors Lake Drive resurfacing, and that wasn't it was like, look, we're gonna be in and out of there in 2 weeks, and we won't be back there for 25 years.
Yeah.
So, but there was no scheduling whatsoever with CSX.
Right.
We
Well,
didn't know.
just to take away a lot of compliments, there, there's 1-lane traffic for quite a while on Dr. Lake Drive while they paved. But I think the residents weathered that fairly well, and we're very appreciative of everything Atlantic did.
I went through it a couple times. It was done. They definitely learned, and we got very few calls. We got a lot more calls on how rough the railroad tracks were than we did on having to wait.
So,
There are a few people that were worried, but I was surprised.
yeah, me too.
It was that they did do it that.
Pleasantly surprised.
And they had some equipment failure.
Yeah.
There was a couple times where they had one piece where it was paved, milled, paved. They don't do it that way now. They mill and pave in one operation. So they had a failure that even added to some of the 1-lane delays in that area.
And just as an aside, the conversation I had with some of the roller operators and very, very pleasant people to work with. So my compliments to
That was a good crew.
Atlantic Asphalt. Thank you.
Commissioner Condon.
Richard, I got a text right before we were walking into the meeting that someone from Fox Meadow had talked to someone in your office, and they were telling them that phase 2 of that resurfacing had been cut for budget reasons, but that was news to me. Do you know anything about that?
Come from you.
Okay.
So if you didn't cut it, or I should say this, it is scheduled, and it's actually scheduled as our first purchase order.
Yeah.
We don't want to stop, go through paperwork and restart. We want to basically, as soon as the budget is inked and says that's what it is, we will issue those streets and we won't stop. No, ma'am, I don't know.
Okay. That's what I thought
Yeah.
too, so that they had erroneous information.
You would have had to have told us to do that.
Okay.
You know, that part of the budget is,
No, I mean, what you said about mobilization made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Like, it makes a lot more sense to make our dollars stretch, so.
and we've had so far they've done very well this year. We will We had about $400,000 or $500,000 under on one of them that we've been able to hopefully get moving and finish this year.
Okay.
But Fox Meadow, the idea was that'll be the last project in 25, 26, and the first project in 27, 26, 27.
That's what I
with
thought.
no delay.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate all y'all do.
I have some comments, Richard, and I guess a couple of questions. So first, the 220 bridge, you know, I will say from the community, we hear you loud and clear. We want that roadway open just as bad as you do. Can you talk about just for backstory for the public on what happened with the drainage and why it's kind of like where we're at?
First and foremost, it's on schedule. They actually have until December to get it done. So it's on schedule. We have something in Florida that I'm not used to, and it's a state issue. We have liquidated damages. However, everywhere I've ever worked says if you're gonna charge liquidated damages, you have to have the opposite. If you finish early, you have to have rewards. We don't allow that here. So if you get someone that does a Spencer Industrial Drive and finishes 90 days early like they did there, that's so they can go do something else. It's not because Clay County or Florida DOT said you get $1,000 a day for finishing early. So we've tried, we've pushed every button we can. We just don't have a checkbook to write to them and say, you know, if you've got $10,000 a day or whatever for finishing late, but you don't get $10,000 for finishing early.
Right.
So there's no incentive unless there's contractors with the work backed up.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. The drainage.
What's that? The drainage. Oh, on the drainage part, the drainage part is not adding to the schedule whatsoever. The drainage part is stuff that we discovered during the project, and again, it's keep in mind, this bridge is actually weight restricted in 1991, I think. So we've been driving on a restricted infrastructure for, 34 years. Underneath that was pipes. They were just as old or older. And we found some, and we were able to actually DOT threw like $1 million at one of them to pay for one of the repairs. Those are part of the project. Those are not part of the project, but they're part of the project area that we're fixing while it's closed. Did not add any days whatsoever to it. Is that what you think about, Howard? Other than that, the area from Nightbox to the bridge will be a completely new road. And that's where we're at now.
Right.
We are gonna maybe cut a couple of weeks off of it. There's one resident that lives back there. We're working with him to give him maybe a week of unpaved access where he's driving like on Lime Rock. If we can do that, that'll speed up that milling and resurfacing of that part of the road. So,
Okay, and then the second thing, so the Radar Road roundabout, am I hearing you correctly in terms of you'll be able to go through the roundabout, just not around it?
correct. If you forgot something at Home Depot,
You're gonna have to go down and make a U-turn?
yes, sir, you need
Okay.
to find the next safe
So you
place.
don't foresee, because I mean, obviously, we're getting close to school starting, so that's a very high traffic area with the high school right there. So it's gonna be operational, it's just you can't fully use it.
Correct, and that'll
Okay.
only be, we would want that to probably, since you brought that up, we'll get gear for that to be finished by August 11th.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
that would be, because
Cool.
and again, the roundabout will become a real roundabout, not a decoration.
Right, right. Cool. Commissioner Renger?
Back to the 220 thing, I think your questioning was directed toward the timing of it. Didn't the permitting issue change during the 220 bridge from Water Management District to the Army Corps of Engineers?
Yeah.
Didn't
Yeah.
that pose a little bit of a problem?
That posed a little bit of a problem. The other thing is, keep in mind, the drawings we're doing, building from 2018. And the other thing that you've got to always consider, and this is why, even though we praise Ed, AEA, the project's done, or the design plans are there, is the right-of-way acquisition. Took us over a year, and it took DOT 2 years to get 151 square feet from Dollar General. And that wasn't land they were taking, that was just a temporary easement so they could harmonize their driveway. And 54 something thousand dollars later, they got it. But it literally took that long, and every other parcel was settled. So that's part of, and we've got a project coming up, the Sun Trail, that is going in from Live Oak Lane to Landing Boulevard. We aren't allowed to bid that until I certify that the right-of-way is in hand, utilities are relocated, plans are relocated for them, the environmental permits are in place, and there's railroad certification. We couldn't even bid it until Dollar General finally got satisfied. And in doing all that, they forgot that their sidewalk has a 5-foot drop-off in front. So then now they don't have pedestrian access to the brand-new sidewalk. But the right-of-way was was definitely a 24 to 30-month delay there. And Florida DOT hasn't forgotten. They've got a few other Dollar Generals that they'll deal with in the future. We don't forget about others either, do we, Ed? One at Mimosa and 218. And others. But the right-of-way is a big deal, Commissioner, very big deal. The permitting in the middle of that was an injunction. We actually went to the Supreme Court and changed some of the local and federal issues on that.
But that slowed us down too.
That did hurt us
A
too.
lot.
Yeah, a lot.
Just as a side comment, to give you an idea with FDOT, when we first started out of the bond transportation program, and we were talking with FDOT, and we talked that we had 242 properties that we're gonna touch, and have to acquire, get TCEs, LAs, or outright takes. They laughed and said, you're never gonna get any physical work done in the 5 years, it takes us that time just to get the right-of-way squared away. So I took that as a challenge, and, here we are at the other end with
One last
work
one.
done.
I provided about 8 photos for FDOT for Eldridge. I don't know whether we forwarded those or we're.
I need to see those.
Sharice has them, so.
You told him? He does not.
It's a project that
I'll-
never,
I'll-
talk about
I'll
when is
say
this
it,
project gonna
yeah.
be over?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So that, I'll
Look.
take that one though. And so, Sharice reached out to Superior and they're cleaning it up. And when did they say, Sharice? It was like the first week of August? Yeah, by August, that's what they're telling us.
But
will be
did you
out.
ask what year?
No, we did not. We did not.
I made them put it in writing.
Yeah, we did. And, we have all the pictures and got that. Yes, sir.
Anything else? All right. Thank you, man.
Well done. Well done, you guys.
Item number 11 is our active and upcoming formal solicitations. Ms. Luz.
Good evening, Jessica Lowe's, Purchasing Manager. Briefing the active and upcoming formal solicitations. So for our active solicitations we have out, we have RFP number 2526-85. That is the public-private partnership to design, build, and finance a public safety complex. That is currently under evaluation. The evaluation committee is reviewing the proposals, and it's scheduled to go to the August 25th board meeting. We have bid number 252695, the Clay County Fairgrounds Hurricane Roof Repairs. This will be for Exhibit Hall 2 in the Cattlemen's Arena. 5 bids were received, and this is scheduled for the July 28th board meeting. Bid number 2526-89, Knights Marina and Lakeshore Boat Ramp Repair, Redevelopment, and Improvements. 3 bids were received, and that will come to the 28th board meeting as well. Bid number 2526-94, Drainage Repair and New Public Works Construction. 7 bids were received, and that is scheduled for the July 28th board meeting. Bid number 2526-97 is the EOC HVAC demolition and replacement. Bids will open on July 28th, and then they're due July 28th, I apologize. And this is scheduled for the August 25th board meeting. The upcoming bids for July and August, and this is in no certain order, we have the Fairgrounds Water Improvements, Fire Station 17 Shower Addition, the countywide sidewalk and concrete repairs, the jail recreation yard waterproofing roof repairs, the unclaimed decedent disposition services, the impact fee study, Washington Avenue box culvert repair, that is a FEMA project. Annual roadway striping of pavement marking services, and the pavement assessment. Are there any questions?
Commissioner Condon?
Jessica, you may have said it and I didn't hear you. How many bids did we get on or proposals did we get on the P3?
We received, I think 3 or 4. I'll have to go back and look. Yes, ma'am. I believe there were 4.
It's
4, yes.
Commissioner Reninger?
Just as a background question, how does the public, what system do we use to
We
issue
use
these?
the OpenGov system. It's
OpenGov?
free. It's free to the public. It's on our purchasing website. And then if any of the suppliers have issues, we contact them directly and we walk them through how to register.
Because I get that question frequently. How do I bid on a contract? You know,
Yes, sir.
so. OpenGov.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Gonna move down one more block here. We're gonna go ahead and do item number 17, letters for action. Discussion of reappointments to the Clay County Housing Finance Authority. Applications were received from the following individuals seeking their reappointment: Roger Higginbotham, representing construction, and James Ryan, representing finance.
Move we reappoint?
Second.
Got a motion for reappointment and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. Item 18, letters for documentation, was our bid opening tabulations, and you can find that in your backup. Public comment? Yeah. And I'll go down to our last public comment section of the meeting. Do any members of the public want to address the commission? There's cards located in the back if you'd like to address the commission. All right, hearing none, we'll move on from that. County Attorney?
Nothing in particular. Our office is still working on some projects for many of you, including Commissioner Condon. So if there's anything in particular that you're looking for, I know Commissioner Renninger's taken on the e-bikes, so he's gotten that under control.
We'll talk about that later.
All right, thank you. County Manager?
Yes, sir. Chair and Commissioners, 2 items for you. In the back there, in our media room back there, Dawn Shaw, this is her last day. She has worked for the county since 2005. For the past 20 years. She started out as an IT technician in MIS, and she most recently finished up as a communications coordinator that's here. She is absolutely dedicated to her job, just a phenomenal team member. She's moving out west to move closer to family, so you cannot blame her for that. So I just want to tell her in her next chapter of her career, we extend a sincere appreciation to her 2 decades of service and wish her fair winds and following seas. It's a look at her back there. I can see her blushing already. And last but not least, budget workshop, Thursday, July 23rd from 9 a.m. to 1300, that's 1 p.m., here in the BCC boardroom. We extended it there. We have a little different approach this year of that. Each department head will be coming up to brief their budgets along the lines of POCO. And on Thursday morning, each one of you will receive the slides. Tomorrow morning, we're going to go over the final. We've been going over these slides, and tomorrow is our last review of those at the department head level, and then we'll send them to you all. And then we have individual meetings scheduled with each one of you to go over those slides. Yeah.
I'll be bringing snacks. I'm just
Yeah,
telling
snacks,
you, a 5-hour
uh,
meeting, I need
yeah.
snacks.
We will have like a slight break there for,
Me to get a snack?
well, then there may be
better
some
than
snack,
that.
there may be some
We want,
snacks.
we
We'll
want
see.
happy.
Yeah,
Food
yes,
makes people
yes, ma'am.
happy.
Yes, ma'am, we know that, yep. All right, pending any questions, that's all I have, sir.
Any questions for the county manager? All right, thank you, sir. That brings us to our 5 o'clock time certain. Item number 12 on the agenda. Our first public hearing on an ordinance and resolution to amend the capital improvement plan and resolution for other budget adjustments. MJ Rude.
Good evening, Board. MJ Rude, Office of Management and Budget. Before you is an amendment to our budget. This is an amendment that is as briefed. We are recognizing revenue into several funds across our budget, and namely for our general fund, we are increasing our reserves on the bottom line. So pending any questions, that is our budget brief.
All right. This is a public hearing, so I'm going to open the public hearing. If anyone would like to speak on item number 12, the budget amendment, you can come to the podium. Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission. Are you going to talk about 2 and 3 as well? Are they separate items for you? Yes, okay. So we're voting on these 3 separately.
Right, you need to vote on them all separate, but.
Yep, okay. So we're addressing item number 1, which is the CIP approval of the amendment. Yep.
I move to approve item number 1 on item 12.
I second the motion.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Item number 2 is also part of the resolution.
Move approval.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And then item number 3 is the operating adjustments. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And none opposed. Thank you very much. Item number 13 is a modification to developer agreement between Clay County and the Crossings at Fleming Island Community Development District regarding 1845 Town Center Boulevard for the Clay County Sheriff's Office. County Attorney.
Yes, this item was included at this place under the time certain for the budget amendment because it was contingent on approval of the budget amendment. But it is simply a modification to an original agreement with CCUA for utility services. It just is a requirement for some additional services that wasn't included in the original agreement.
And we do not have to vote on this, right?
We have to
Oh, we do.
Vote on it, but no public
No
hearing.
public hearing. All right. So I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
A second.
Got a motion for approval in a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 13 carries unanimously. Item number 14 is a public hearing regarding the annual rate resolution for solid waste disposal assessment for 26 and 27. Ms. Grimm.
Yes, this is the annual assessment that's brought before you for disposal services. It is to remain the same at $96 for this upcoming annual year. And if you have any questions, Milton is here, and you do need a public hearing for it.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. If you'd like to speak on item number 14. Podium. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission.
I move to approve that we leave the solid waste disposal assessment the same.
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. And just for the public, that is a standard operating procedure. There's no increase. It's just our formal approval to put it on the trim notice. That's why we have to do that. Moving on to item number 15, the public hearing regarding the annual rate resolution for solid waste and recovered materials collection services for 26-27.
Yes, likewise, this is for the annual assessment. This is for collection services, and it likewise is to remain the same at $262 as the annual assessment.
Okay. I'd like to open the public hearing for item number 15. Anyone wish to address the commission? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission.
Chair,
Yes.
the contract we have with the FCC allows for a change if the conditions are present for recyclable materials. And I hope we have the option to change a contract if recycling would be in our best advantage, or better advantage for our residents. So I think Mr. Towns has researched that and has some comments.
Yes, sir. Through Mr. Chair, Milton Towns, your Director of Environmental Services. So, as you know, the decision was made through our bid process at the beginning of our current collection program and with the contractor FCC to forego curbside recycling services due to cost. So at that time, cost to process was about 3 times as much as the cost to dispose for that material, and there was no guarantee that that rate would stay the same. That metric is still much the same. The numbers have changed a little bit, but it's still the same. The difference, the processing cost difference per ton between what we pay to dispose of a ton of household trash versus what we would pay to process a ton of household recyclables. The difference, it would cost $145 more per ton to processing than it does to dispose. That alone equates to over $530,000 a year estimated. And that's not all of the cost involved in recycling. That's just the comparison between processing and disposal.
And the reason I bring this up, in order to keep the fees the same as previous years, we can't go down the road of recycling, or we'd have to change the collection fees for everyone too. So it's still, the decision we made, 2-3 years ago, is still a valid decision, and that's the only point I want to bring up here, so. So your recommendation is we continue curbside pickup as we have in the past?
Yes, sir. I don't recommend we change it.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Commissioner Renninger, I appreciate you going down that road. I mean, that's doing your due diligence, which is really good. And I think the number I remember was like $90. So you're saying now it's up to $140.
Yeah,
it was like 90.
Comparing those two directly, yes, and it only grows because that's processing versus disposal. In that, it also costs us more per ton to transport recyclables than it does to transport garbage. And it costs, there are then the collection costs, which aren't part of.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but historically, the county used to get profit from recycling. It wasn't a cost. It wasn't
much, but we did get some. Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
It never covered cost, but it did not cost us. It was more than it covered the processing cost until about 6 months before, prior to 6 months or a year prior to us, closer to a year prior to us making that decision with the new bid.
Thank you, Milton. Oh, go ahead.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the collection costs or fees remaining the same.
I second that motion.
For item number 15, have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Milton. Moving on to item number 16, this is our first public hearing for consideration of the draft Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, Consolidated Plan for 2026 to 2030, and for the draft Annual Action Plan of 2026. Ms. Heisler, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Jody Heisler, Clay County Grants Compliance Manager. So this is the first public hearing for consideration for the Community Block Grant. We'll look at 2 different parts of the plan. First is consolidated plan, 5-year high level. The second would be the annual action plan, which would be the first year of that 5-year plan. So this is a community block grant, entitlement grant, sponsored by HUD. And the overview, this will be our second consolidated plan. So we're in the 5th year of the first plan. And the purpose of the consolidated plan is to establish a broad, high-level national objectives that create the framework that the whole 5-year plan will be based on. The consolidated plan doesn't speak to specifics, but rather at a high level. The annual action plan, it has twofold purpose. One is to establish the actual funding allocation for those national objectives that have been determined and established in the consolidated plan, and also to establish specific projects. So let's first look at the consolidated plan. This year, when we looked at this 5-year plan, we took an approach that was a little different than the first time. We had 5 years under our belts. We were able to look at lessons learned and the engagement of the community over the last 5 years. So what we did was we wanted to consider, first of all, the county's strategic priorities, which have been outlined in the county strategic plan. We also wanted to look at maximum flexibility in those national objectives so that as the county grows over the course of the next 5 years, the plan can grow along with it. We got a lot of feedback in the last 5 years around the idea of a more county-wide impact and a county-wide focus for the funding for these projects. And so what you'll see is projects that do have less individual focus and more of a community county-wide focus. And also, again, to align with the county strategic plan. A lot of those projects have been approved and are essentially shovel-ready from the perspective of the board approval. So we wanted to do that. So when all of those things were considered, the proposed project categories, which are national objectives, and the allocation percentages that we are proposing over the course of the 5 years are outlined on the slide, which would be infrastructure at 60%, parks and public facilities at 25%, community partnerships and nonprofit expansion at 10%, and administration at 5%. So that, in a nutshell, is the consolidated plan. You have a draft of the actual plan available, and so if you have any questions on the consolidated plan, I can take those before we move into the annual action plan.
I don't really have questions. I just have some comments. So 5 years ago, when we were awarded the CDBG grant, Clay County had never been awarded one before. And if it weren't primarily for my district, Clay County wouldn't be awarded. And so I have a little bit of an issue with the approach of putting the majority of the CDBG money towards sidewalks when most of my district doesn't have sidewalks. And so I'm not sure, other than that, how I really feel about the action plan. I don't love it, but it's the first public hearing, so we'll see what kind of feedback we get. And when we vote, maybe we can see what we can tweak. But I understand the county's strategic plan, and I understand that there's 4 other commission districts. We've done work in all of those districts with CDBG over the past 5 years, so that's not the situation at all. But if it weren't for the lower income areas of my district, we wouldn't qualify anyway. So I'm not sure that that's really appropriate to make it do more sidewalks in more of the already developed areas of the county. But at any rate, I'm not prepared tonight to suggest changes because I respect the public hearings that have happened so far, the public meetings, the input. I want to let the process play out. And then I also heard some rumblings that there was some interest in from some outside organizations to try to use CDBG money towards some affordable housing. And while I commend that, I think that if we are going to visit that scope needs to be very narrowed. Because Commissioner Reniger, you have reminded us on a number of occasions that affordable is, what affordable is to us is not affordable to the next person necessarily. And so there are some affordable housing projects that have been funded under our Housing and Finance Authority's funding sources that I don't think are affordable at all. I think that those projects, it's because of the percentage difference, right? So if you're selling these homes at $500,000 and these homes at $350,000, they meet the percentages to qualify for these affordable housing grants. But that's not affordable, and that's not what CDBG is intended for. So those are kind of just my comments about some rumblings that I've heard. But again, it's the first public hearing, so.
Through the chair, if I may.
Yes, sir.
And I'll let Jody talk a little bit more about this, but since you brought up affordable housing, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Dr. Burke did reach out. I know she couldn't be here today, but she did ask about that. She's been reached out by a couple of community members about could this be used for affordable housing, and specifically could this be used for tiny homes and affordable housing. And based on that, I did ask Jody to do a little research. She can explain to you what's allowed or not allowed and which category that would fall under, because I think that may, if that's the desire of the board to go that direction, I think that falls under the infrastructure section potentially.
Part of it.
So I think if you could speak to that, and then I know longer term, I know the tiny home thing would probably need to be addressed by Sharice, but I just wanted to throw that out there that some constituents did reach out to Dr. Burke, and she did reach out to me and ask the question,
So tiny homes are, and tiny home communities are an allowable expense under the CDBG plan. It covers everything from site prep, infrastructure that would be required, septic, sewer, all of that, those types of things, to design to construction. So it will cover soup to nuts. Under this current, the way this current consolidated plan is structured, the infrastructure part of that would be what would be covered here. If that would be the direction of the commissioners to do something like that, we would need to submit this annual action plan if approved with a contingency, and then we would need to do a substantial amendment change if we were going to change it to construction. It's a different category that isn't addressed as one of the national objectives that are outlined in this particular consolidated plan, but that can be done.
Any other comments, questions? Commissioner Ranger?
I was just going to say, from that aspect though, tiny homes are not allowed in our current code. With the minimum square footage is 700 square feet in our current land development code.
Commissioner Ranger?
I guess I attended two of the public meetings, and where does the public comment come in on these, on the consolidated plan or the annual plan?
It will come in on both. I'll put the same, it's a little challenging to separate some of those comments as to which went to which part. And since they were presented together, my plan was to put the comments in total in both. The survey that has been presented and has been available to the public is specifically on the consolidated plan. So the survey results will be on the consolidated plan specifically.
Okay, and the reason I ask is, there at both meetings, there was fairly large, or not large, predominant military presence at both those meetings. And quite honestly, the military spread is a huge population in Clay County, and it's spread throughout the county. And so I don't know how we weave into that. You want to comment about the annual plan now too?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and we'll take a look at the proposed annual action plan. So this outlines more specific recommended projects under those national objectives that are outlined in the consolidated plan. This would be year 1 of 5 years. And the award estimate from HUD for year 1 is $1,057,772. And in those, the projects that have been proposed in those national in the national objectives would be primarily sidewalk installation and/or improvement. So these would then be determined at address level, which we have a list of pre-approved sidewalk intersections that were approved by the board earlier in the spring, so that if this is approved, we have a list to be able to move forward with. And they are from areas around the county, in everyone's districts, and they would, just as an example of some of the projects that are on that list, they would be high-impact areas, County Road 218, Edson Drive, Jefferson Avenue. So they do go around the county. And it also then ADA upgrades at intersections, and there is a list of intersections. A couple were Janelle and Madeira, Aurora and Ursa. So they're, again, spread around and are intersections that require some ADA compliance work. In the area of parks and public facilities, the focus would be primarily on parks. These parks are in, the ones that would be covered by CDBG would be those that are in low to moderate income areas. Again, one of the things that is in coordination with the strategic plan is ADA compliance in our park system. And so these dollars could be used to fund those types of projects to bring more accessibility for all residents to those parks. In some areas, they're great facilities, but they're not easily accessible for folks that have ambulatory challenges. So these dollars could be used to rectify that. And then we have community partnerships and nonprofit expansion. This includes neighborhood cleanups. That's the community partnership portion. Those have been a core part of the current CDBG projects, and those would continue. And those would focus, most generally are in the High Ridge, Tanglewood, and Bel Air Meadowbrook areas. And those become partnerships with the community because we have neighbors and neighborhoods and the county staff and volunteers, along with nonprofits in those areas that all get together to execute those community cleanups. And then in addition, in this area, under this focus, we would have the potential for nonprofit expansion. So this would be an organization or organizations that would be selected through whatever mechanism the board finds appropriate to select those entities for nonprofit expansion dollars. And the allocation of those funds, of that $1 million+ looks like this. It would be $634,663 towards infrastructure in year one, $264,443 towards parks in year one, $105,777 for community partnerships and nonprofit expansion, and then administration at $52,889. Questions on the specifics of the annual action plan?
Mr. Renger.
Yeah, I have a couple comments. With the annual plan, in the nonprofit expansion, we list 2 nonprofits explicitly, and I don't think we should explicitly list any nonprofits. I think that ought to be open for application, interpretation when the time comes. So I'd like to see that removed. And just as an aside, I always get a kick out of administration costs. You know, it's 5% in this federal grant. One of my previous lives with university, the Florida University system, there were pre-negotiated administrative cost approvals of 60-70% of every grant dollar went to administration. And it baffled me how they got that approved through the federal government, but we get 5%. So that may cover our costs. I'm not sure it does cover our costs. And that's for Jody's, all her great benefits she gets and her paycheck and all that kind of stuff. Her contribution to this grant, what was the number, 52,000 for the whole year. That's for all the people that are working on the grant. Part of our salary, I guess, is part of the administration as well. And so the probably doesn't cover the actual cost of administration here, but that's what we're allocated, 5%. So just as an aside. So anyway, like I said, I don't like to see any, well, anyway, I'd
Noted.
like to have it open to any and all nonprofits, make it a little bit competitive.
Right. We'll make that change and get an updated draft for the final public hearing meeting.
Any other comments?
I have two more pieces.
Perfect.
Okay. The schedule, I just wanted to, we did 6 public meetings this time, which is more than we have done in the past. We did get a meeting in every district, 2, Commissioner Condon, in your area, because it's large. So we did have a good turnout. We had a very strong veteran presence, veteran council members, veterans themselves, and business owners that serve, and nonprofit directors that serve that community. So they were a strong presence at every one of the meetings this time. Public comment is still open and remains open through the end of the day. I'm not sure exactly whether that's midnight or 5 o'clock, but I will take it to midnight. Anything doesn't shut off, but anything that's received through midnight on July the 18th, which is Saturday, will be part of this public comment. So then, what's coming next, and what are where are we, and what are our next steps? So all the public meetings have concluded. We do have the public comment period still open through the July 18. And the next steps are all of the public comments and the survey results will be consolidated. We'll put those into the packets, and the next set of drafts that will be part of the second public hearing will have the change that Commissioner Reniger has suggested to the annual action plan, and then the public comments will be included in those packets. And at that point, there'll be a second public hearing and then a vote for approval or discussion on change, however you all want, what you want to make happen with this plan. And that'll be on the 28th of July.
Yes, sir. I have one other comment, and it came from the Orange Park Library meeting that we had. We had an individual who had a shoe store in I think it was in Five Points or someplace in Jacksonville, and he moved it to Blanding. And he and his wife showed up at the meeting, and they live in
They live in Jacksonville.
Jacksonville, I think, but his business is on Blanding, and he was so complimentary of he said he never got an invite to anything in Jacksonville, but since he's moved his business to Clay County, he's been, and he's part of the chamber. And so he learned about this through the chamber. He came to this meeting, and he was so complimentary of Clay County and how they treated their businesses that he actually told me that off the cuff type thing. He was very, very pleased with his move to Clay County. So good job, Jody.
Thank you.
Anything else? You good?
I'm good if there are no other questions.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep. So we're going to open the public hearing on item number 16. I do have a card on this item from Jessica Povaleski. Come on up. A familiar face, the Clay County Veteran of the Year. Welcome.
And thank you, Jody, for loan of your pen. Good evening. My name is Jess, and I am representing the Veterans Council and Clay Veterans. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I've got a few comments so that I don't ramble. I have reviewed the draft CDBG 5-year plan, and I found it to be well written. And unlike the first 5-year plan, it provides your team with great flexibility in being able to support emergent projects, so we're not locked in as hard. Also, thank you to Jody and her team for all of the public meetings that they put out and putting the plan together. I'd like to focus on the portion of plan for the neighborhood enhancement and nonprofit capacity building. St. Johns County Operation Lifeline, their application for a community development block grant was approved for funding. And then Governor Ron DeSantis signed the Florida budget, which included $200,000 appropriation for the Veteran Futures Academy and St. John's Community Skills Center, right there in Switzerland. So that St. Johns County is just a little bit ahead of what we're doing, or what we would like to do. The Veterans Council of Clay County and Clay Veterans ask that a similar project that expands access to resources and services be considered in future annual plans. Community facilities provide more than meeting space. They can serve as a centralized location where residents connect with information, services, and one another. For many individuals, finding the right resource can be challenging. A centrally located, accessible facility can help people learn about available services. They can connect with nonprofit organizations and government agencies, and then participate in programs that support health, independence, employment, and overall quality of life. Thank you so much.
You have one more minute if you had
Oh, I
more.
got another
Yep,
minute?
Yep.
Oh, I thought it was
Finish
done.
up. Yeah.
All right, here we go. As you guys develop your community block grant, your 5-year plan, we appreciate in the planning process that it includes opportunities for residents to share the information about community needs and potential projects. We had our first caregiver luncheon today, and they're specifically caregivers for veterans, and it was the first one that we've ever had in the community. And the looks in their eyes, looking across each other, it was emotional. There's a few other caregiver things, but they're not specific to veterans and veterans' needs. We need a place for groups like that to meet. Want to make sure that community services, veteran services, and nonprofits work more closely together. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jess.
Yeah.
Any other comments, public comment on item number 16? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. This is the first public hearing, so we do not have to take a vote on this one tonight, but it will come back at our next meeting. So thank you very much. Moving on to the end of the agenda now, commissioner comments. Commissioner Khan, you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. I just have a couple. I just wanted to tell you, I know that you probably saw the email, but I thought it was really cool. So the Boys and Girls Club that operates after-school programs all over the county, they have one at Orange Park High School, they have one at Keystone Heights High School. They're working in partnership with this company called WearWorks. Anyway, they've taken these mobile tech job simulators around to this week. They're going to different places. They had 8 stops, and Orange Park High School is one, and Keystone Heights High School is one, and it's where the students actually get to try out trades. And there were 9 trades that they get to try out, like plumbing and welding, and they had a virtual reality thing. And I just think they were at Keystone today, and just think it's really awesome that there's a partner in our community that's willing to bring this to it's a little bit more than just telling young people they need to get into trades. And talking with some of our local business owners, I had heard they're struggling to hire enough employees. And I know that you probably have seen the notes, but Northeast Florida Builders Association, NFPA, is building a regional job training apprenticeship program center, opening it in Jacksonville in August, and we'll get invited for the ribbon cutting and that kind of thing. But they have said, that they have trouble. They have 100% job placement, really high wages, and I think it's important. One of our jobs, is connecting those employees and the business opportunities in our area,
And frankly, commercial development is going to become more important to us as we move toward tax reform, which I support tax reform, but we have to figure out how to fund basic services. And so anyway, I just thought it was kind of cool that we're looking at potential young people in our community finding skills to have jobs to stay in our community. So just wanted to update you on that. Otherwise, have a great week.
Thank you, Commissioner Khan. Commissioner Compere?
Since the last time we were all together, the 5 of us were in Orlando for the Florida Association of Counties summer, I don't know, workshop. And I have to say, one, that it's always refreshing to connect with other commissioners across the state and get their perspectives on things. And this workshop or series also did not disappoint. And I do also want to highlight, again, a special congratulations to Commissioner Condon for winning her election. That's really exciting. And I know you'll do us proud. A second comment tonight, as was said in Ed Dendor's update, the Oakleaf Library design unveiling and conversation continues. This is the meeting that was rescheduled from the 18th of June. And so it'll be, as he stated, this Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m., the Phase 2 Athletic Center. The Phase 2 Athletic Center. There are 2, and they'll know, with the winding staircase. That's the one on the second floor. And then the third thing, it kind of spurs from the conversation that we had, again, during the update that Ed gave us. I am very curious, Courtney, I think this one's for you, as to what it'll take to get incentives in our construction contracts for early completion. And I'm also curious to know, what does the history tell us concerning which would be more cost effective? Is it completion bonuses or liquidated damages? Because that seems to be where there's some rub. Do you have any guidance on that?
I mean, we do have, Karen's here, we do have contracts that have incentives in them. I'm not sure about the reasoning in that particular contract, that there wasn't, but most of our contracts do have liquidated damages, and there are some on the bonded transportation that have incentives.
So that's an isolated incident where there wasn't an incentive to complete the project early?
I'm not sure of that. It depends on what went out in your RFP and what was negotiated before it came to us. So I think we would have to get with the purchasing team in connection with the RFP if that's something that, the board is interested in an incentive, so that would be something we would need to talk to them about. But I do know that with the bonded transportation program, we did do that in some of the contracts.
Right. I guess the lasting impression that I got from the update was that you have contractors who are more incentivized to delay a project than to complete it early. And maybe I misunderstood, but that was what I got from Richard's comments. So if I don't know that did any of our projects trigger the early completion clause of those agreements?
Yeah, and I know Ed's already gone, but yes, on the bonded transportation, there was incentives for them to complete at certain stages, but then there were also liquidated damages that, and a lot of times they canceled out, but we do have projects where they received incentives. I don't know this particular project, why it didn't have incentives. I just assume that wasn't part of what was contracted for, or bid out for at that time.
So there is, based on what you're saying, there's also the prospect of your early completion incentives and your liquidated damages zeroing out, such that there's a zero-sum game there, is what I just heard you say. Help me understand.
So I'm trying to think of a particular one on the bonded transportation, but there were certain goals based on the plans, and if they were able to get the plans at a certain point, then they got an incentive. But then you have construction, and then a lot ties in with weather delays and time delays. But we had charts you know,
So
for
we're
the
basically giving
incentives.
it back at that point.
Mhm.
Okay.
And I think it was hard when we were trying to do the incentives from the board standpoint is, you know, for them to do an early completion, what amount of money are you willing to give them or provide them for an early completion versus just a contract amount?
Wait a minute. Doesn't early completion is an incentive, so they get dollars and cents there, but then the liquidated damages portion of the contract gets triggered, and then there are more dollars and cents. It's one dimensional, right? It's coming from us. There's no.
No, the liquidated damages, they're paying us for
Okay,
failure to
so-
complete. Right.
So it washes out.
Good.
And the incentive is, and this is what you have to balance, is you do a contract and they bid on a contract and it's gonna be $13 million. And then you wanna give them an incentive to maybe complete in a couple months early. And I remember because it was actually Commissioner Bola and he always called it the carrot. You know, what is the carrot that we can give them? You know, what is the board willing to put out there in extra money to have that incentive?
Go ahead, Jess.
I was just gonna say that the incentive would have to be evaluated on a per project basis. It's not going to be the same for every single one, which is difficult to determine. I mean, but if you want us to look into that, we can. On most of our construction projects, we do not have the incentive, but we do have liquidated damages on everything.
On most, we do not have incentives, but we do have liquidated damages on all of them.
Yes, ma'am.
And the liquidated damages is based on the FDOT rate.
For the roadway projects, yes. For the buildings, we evaluated on what would the actual damage be to the county if it's not completed on time.
Is there a standard incentive kind of matrix, or is that totally up to who writes the contract?
Well, for the bonded transportation, it was developed through WGI, and it was a different step formula that they came up with. for the
Gotcha.
projects within the budget.
And I think that's the big thing too, that all five of us would have to kind of think about is how much more are you willing to pay, right? When we're trying to be fiscally conservative, you know, it can get expensive to go fast.
And then you've got two other things, and not to take from Jess. One is, some of that's not allowed under federal rules. Lowest best price, so if it's a federal contract, depending on the grant funding, and then the thing the board has to consider is, say you have a bidder says, I'll do the project for, we'll just say $10 million. The next bidder says, I'll do it for 10 and a half. And then by the time you give them incentives, now that first bidder's $11 million. So now, did you really do the best interest of the taxpayers? Because you didn't get the best value. You may have gotten it faster, but you didn't get the best. Those are all the things that the purchasing department has to weigh out, and that's why this gets really complicated. And I think that's why the county's kind of moved toward liquidated damages. It's like, you told us you're gonna do a project, you told us you're gonna get the project done on X day. If you go past X day, where's ours?
Right.
Yeah.
But then during the process, and I
Yeah.
understand all
Yeah.
of the points. I don't have a problem. Again, I go back to the update we received,
Right.
pointed to there's more of an incentive. If there aren't any incentives to get the project completed, then where's the rub? And one of the questions that came from the dais was, how long is it gonna take for these projects to be completed? And so I'm thinking, well, why are they dragging their feet? And there are a number of updates that we've received over the last several years where the project stalls because they're disputing terms. And then you've got the added wrinkles of weather and all the things, right? Incumbent or inherent to a construction project. So I'm looking to discern what makes the most sense. And so if you're saying, okay, we've got all of these, I call them landmines. You don't want to trip up anything that's going to cause problems. But I heard a problem and I was looking for a solution. And so I don't have an issue with what sounds to me like negotiating a tightrope and just leaving that alone. But I am curious to know where's the balance? Because when the constituents are asking us when projects are going to be completed, and we keep telling them, oh, well, it was originally supposed to be completed in August, and now we're looking at a December timeline. Is it enough that our response is not only do you have to wait, but the county's going to get some of their money back? I think that that's really the essence of the conversation, and I think that's for them to decide as I'm hearing the feedback in this conversation. But it's not lost on me that the question tonight, as I heard it, was we're not really dangling the carrot, to your point, to get these projects done, completed on time or early, and I wanted to know. So I think that that was helpful.
Well, and that particular project has federal funding, so you would not have been able to do an incentive anyways.
Okay, so that was the answer to your question.
Well, and on that particular project, I mean, I don't know how we came up with the number of days to give them. Usually the contractor asks for a certain number of days, but I mean, maybe that's something we should evaluate if they really were going to be able to finish it. And we'd have to ask Richard. I mean, if they could have finished it months earlier, but yet we gave them 3 more months, and so they're just not doing our project, I don't know the answer to that.
We also rely on the engineer of records or the architects whenever we're putting out bids, and they recommend dates to us, and we evaluate that, along with the liquidated damages. They also suggest that.
That begs a question. What do you mean you're proposed a recommendation, but then you guys go in and evaluate it? So then it becomes a conversation piece, not necessarily something you accept?
If we agree with it or not. Because, you know, the engineer, I mean, they're the engineer of records and the architects, they're the experts on how long it should take, and they have the data. But, you know, for instance, on Fire Station 24, we had a hard deadline, so we couldn't use their recommended dates. We had to say, no, you have to finish by this.
Okay, that's clear. Yeah. I think you've answered my questions and given me more to think about, but very helpful. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
Wow. Oh, those were my 3. Those were my 3. Thank
Awesome.
you.
All right. Commissioner Renninger.
Yeah, just amplify Commissioner Condon's comments about WareWorks. I attended the Orange Park exhibit with the job survey thing. I put together a turbine engine, by the way, with my artificial intelligence goggles. So anyway, I'm now a certified airframe power plant mechanic. No, it was really good. Good exposure for young people to different career fields that they don't have the opportunity in their normal lives. So it's like I referred back to my days at FSCJ when people came to college and I said, what's your ultimate goal? I don't know. And I went, what are you doing here if you don't know? You're wasting my time and your time. It didn't happen so much in my field, which was the trades, the automotive mechanics and diesel mechanics and collision and childcare and all that kind of stuff. But in the general education area, I mean, students go to college and they don't know why they're there, and it's just not productive. But this gives a student an exposure, and we used to have high school fairs where we'd bring high schools out to our facilities and let them touch the real tools and all that. So it's a very helpful effort. But more importantly, this project was initiated for the Duval County schools, and from the conversations I had, they were kind of pushed away from Duval County schools, and that's why they're concentrating in Clay County schools, because once again, the exposure at Clay, the welcoming position of Clay is much greater than at Clay County schools than Duval County schools. So I thought that was interesting. I got a couple things. One of our primary duties is safety and security, and this week we had go talk a little bit about fire safety. We had a mortality, we had a death in a fire this past weekend, and it's still being investigated. But nonetheless, we did escape the July 4th home fires. As I understand, we didn't have any home fires, which is very common over the holidays. But we did have some kind of structure shed fire where we lost an individual on Saturday night, I think it was. So I want to ask the public to be vigilant for fire safety. Traffic safety, just so you know, FDOT sent me an announcement about an annual Southern Slowdown effort by FHP to slow people down on the highway. So if you see a lot of blue lights, they may be ours and they may be somebody else's. But nonetheless, July 13th through 18th, they're going to put a hard press in Florida, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, and Tennessee. Operation Southern Slowdown. So don't get caught this weekend. And then I'm on to e-bike safety. We've had several deaths in the county, and my goal, or our goal, is to, first of all, we need regulations for e-bikes, and we don't have them right now. The legislature passed a statute that the governor taxed it, vetoed it. The governor vetoed it. So now we don't. And the real tragedy of that bill, I think, was they had a work group in that bill to look further at it. It was an initial look at e-bike safety, and it wasn't all encompassing, but they had a work group in there, and so that was vetoed as well. And so that, in lieu of that, I'm going to try to get an e-bike safety pamphlet and I talked to the Clay County School System. They're willing to distribute it as well. And if we can get something built up, and we're working with the health department, we're working with Clay County Sheriff's Office and our own departments to come up with a pamphlet or a folder, a flyer or something, just to make parents aware that these are not toys. It's a form of transportation, okay? And if you're using these vehicles for transportation, there are certain hazards and rules that you can apply to mitigate those hazards. So, parents, I think, sometimes think they're toys. And I know Commissioner Scrummel and I observed 4 young 12-year-old boys in the middle of the road doing wheelies on e-bikes, and they can have catastrophic results. So we want to try to get the parents aware that there are some restrictions. The last thing I have is something, Dean, I think I talked to you about. ATT is going to do away with copper line phones by 2029. And I don't know, there are certain states that are suing AT&T. The FCC, this was going to happen sooner or later. And the FCC removed the restrictions from removing all these lines. And so AT&T is leading the charge. They're going to try to remove these lines sooner than later. And for I would say 70% of us, 80% of us, it really doesn't matter because we use fiber optics and we use internet. But there may be some people in the county that this is the only means of communication. And so when you talk about 911 and there's no phone for you to call, how serious is this in Clay County? I don't know, but I think it's something we ought to be aware of. That next 2 to 3 years, some people may lose all forms of communication in their home.
It's a really big deal. So it is a huge deal in my area.
Exactly.
But here's what I'll tell you. This will surprise you. Fox Meadow, very little cell phone service in the back of the neighborhood. Remember when we changed the zoning so the guy could build a cell tower on his private land? But he hasn't finished construction for whatever reason. That's his business. But those residents are, greatly wanting a cell tower out there for that very reason. Even at our own park, they've had conversations with Chief Moats because they have the AED at the Fox Meadow Community Park, but they've said they can't use it's not Safer Watch, it's Pulse Point. They can't use the Pulse Point. If they call 911 to use the Pulse Point to tell them how to use the AED, it doesn't always work because they don't have great service. So it is a big deal. I've talked to different providers, but see, and then the interesting thing, Troy and I had gone down this path with the broadband thing several years ago, and then it kind of dropped off everybody's radar, is the towers now, the cell towers are not owned by the big carriers anymore. So they don't, AT&T and Verizon and all, they don't go in and put these in. They rent tower space from the people who own these towers. So it is a very complicated issue. Now, I don't know what the solution is, but you're right, it is an issue.
The element of this that I hadn't realized is some of your older elevators have, copper wire phone lines and fire alarms, and I know, so that's something we need to look at. I don't know whether we have elevators that old or not, but it's something we need to be aware, or we should be aware of, and just take a look at it. What's the impact of copper lines going away, period? Because that's where, we all know it's happening. It's going to happen, but it's going to happen sooner, vice later. And I think that is all. Hope everybody has a good week. That's all I have. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Commissioner Reninger. So as everyone said, we went to the FAC summer event there, and it's always extremely valuable to hear what's going on in the state and with other county commissions and just at the statewide level. I attended a breakout down there about data centers, and it was very, very, very informative. One of the big takeaways of the breakout that I took from was a commissioner in Georgia who talked about all kinds of levers that local commissions can pull to protect their community. So I look forward to sharing those nuggets with staff as we continue to look at our ordinance for that. And once again, 2 shout outs. Number one, thank you to Commissioner Reninger and Commissioner Condon. Whether you both realized it or not, you were a mentor from afar in continuing education. I finally got my commissioner certification through the University of Florida, and you both have every certification you can get, which is important. I think people don't understand the breadth of information that we have to be exposed to as commissioners. And somebody the other day said, my knowledge base is a mile wide, but it's only an inch deep. And that's kind of the way we have to approach, so many different topics. So that was exciting. And congratulations again, Betsy. You're the first Clay County Commissioner ever to be in leadership in FAC. And that's a really big deal. And here's why. When you do this job correctly, in my opinion, as all of us work so hard to do, lobbying Tallahassee and working with Tallahassee to protect Clay County is one of the biggest things that we do. And the Florida Association of Counties is our arm as commissioners in Tallahassee to fight for local control. And by you winning that election and Clay County having that voice on the state stage is a really big deal. And I'm really happy that you're representing us there, and having the future speaker, having someone with FAC, we're setting ourselves up to be in a really good spot to continue to protect Clay County. So I'm excited about that. And then that night, Friday, got to attend with Commissioner Reninger and Commissioner Burke. We attended the firefighter graduation for the class of 2026-01. And just always cool seeing the rookies get to the finish line and kind of the Harry Potter sorting hat of what station they're going to go to. They have where they want to go, you can tell, and they get excited when they get their first station assignment. And really just it was so cool seeing the support of families, whether it was there were kids dressed up as firefighters, whether it was their son or daughter or, cousin. Really cool Clay County event. And thanks again to the Church of 1122 who opens their doors for us to hold those events. And 4th of July was different. It was different. The 250th, you could really feel the pride in the community. It was palpable. And I'm excited as we continue to celebrate the 250th through October. We're going to have our big event then. And it was good. And then the last thing I'd say is just want to give an attaboy to MJ and her team as they're continuing to work extremely hard on the budget, and Troy and all the department heads. They've been putting a ton of work into the budget, and we're going to have some really robust discussions on the meeting on the 23rd. But I appreciate your team's effort, because it's a lot, and you guys are digging deep. So other than that, anything else for the good of the order? Hope everybody has a great week. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.